Hello friends, Om Namah Shivaya. Today let us talk about the planet Uranus. Uranus is a very outer planet and we usually forget sometime to see Uranus in our horoscope. But it's a very high revolutionary planet, quite eccentric in its approach and very scientific. Uranus is that kind of a planet, whichever house it is situated, if it is near a planet, it creates even more ripples and effect. It gives the touch of its quality to that planet. Kind of sounds like Rahu Ketu. Yeah, these are outer planets and like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all three. But if we miss these planets, we'll be missing quite a lot of things in seeing the horoscope. Now, the transit of Uranus, which I am going to talk about in this video for all the ascendants, is happening in Taurus. And recently we had the ingress of Jupiter in Taurus. I think Taurus is becoming so important with again the ingress of Uranus. Uranus, for the last 7 years, it was in Aries, and it has taught, if you go back and see what happened with you wherever Aries is situated in your horoscope, it has involved us quite a lot in that area. Now obviously in our Vimshotrik Dasha system, we are not having the Dasha or Antardasha to see about Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, but this is how, because it stays in a sign for 7 years, the last 7 years of staying in Aries, wherever in your horoscope Aries is, it has definitely created a mark of its own over there. It is an extremely independent planet. It is eccentric, independent, revolutionary, scientific, also very much occult and astrology. So anybody who is interested in this field of astrology, or those who are doing Adhyayan of astrology, learning like myself, will usually have a very prominent Uranus. Uranus in the 8th house, Uranus in the 10th house in your natal chart. In Scorpio, these are the positions of having a little bit weird revolutionary approach towards your profession, your life. It will happen that way. If it is close to your ascendant or close to your moon, you can have very scientific temperament. You can, suddenly think certain things in the speed of light. You can be very independent in your approach. Sometimes these are also inventors. That is also there. Some kind of invention. I mean, invention is not always a big invention that we call, but suddenly they want to, these kind of people who has a very prominent Uranus, as I said, in Scorpio, in the 8th house, in the 10th house, or in the Lagna, very close to the ascendant, they will feel to go into research oriented, and they're a little out of the way in their approach. They are not exactly how the society follows the norms. That is Jupiter. Uranus is just the opposite of it. It is quite eccentric, quite different in its way of understanding and execution. And whichever planet it comes close to, it puts a Uranian nature to that planet. If it is on the ascendant, you're quite Uranian in your nature. You'll be fiercely independent and a little bit weird, a little bit different from the crowd, that kind. If it is conjunct your Venus, if it is near your Venus, then what will happen is that your love life will have some ups and downs, some eccentricity in it, some kind of madness in it, some kind of inventions through your love. Inventions in the way that exploring the different, the nuances of Venus as a planet. So this is how the planet Uranus is. Now in Taurus, which is the house of resources, accumulation, though this Taurus sign is, we'll see how it affects all the ascendants, but what I'm trying to say, immediately it may not affect you unless you have a planet or lagna or moon in the initial degrees of Taurus. Uranus will join Jupiter in Taurus by 3rd of June and continue for the next 7 years. So you can understand it is a long journey, and because it's a long journey, in whichever sign in your in whichever house Taurus is in your birth chart, it will somehow give its flavor. That I have noticed. I have seen that for the last, especially last 7 years, I have seen that, and also when Uranus was in Pisces. When I go back now, when I understand this planet better, and I try to gauge that what kind of flavor it brought when it was in Pisces in my horoscope, then in Aries it totally matches. So let's see how it behaves for each ascendant. Just jump into the timestamp. Let's see. For the Aries ascendant, this the second house is Taurus, and Uranus is coming into your second house of money and family. Especially when I've seen Uranus in the second house transit also, and in the natal also, it is a very up-down situation as far as the properties of the second house is concerned. Though, as I said previously in my video, because it is a 7 years transit, one has to understand these things will not be seen immediately. But in this video, what I'm trying to do is that making understanding of how the planet works in every house. Jupiter is now there in your Taurus in the second house. It is a very good time for accumulation and all. But see, Uranus as Jupiter will travel this whole year, and it will go out of your house to the third. Uranus is still there in your second house in Taurus. And here the planet, because it travels for a very long, transits for, it's an outer planet, takes 7 years. It will bring changes that will be evident to you as the transit goes on. And this will happen if you have a natal Uranus also in the second house. This effect is felt by the native. There is up and down in money condition, and the situation becomes like that because, as I said, it is a very innovative planet, inventions oriented planet. It is an uptown planet. It's a very different oriented planet. You want to take risk. That is the bottom line of it. And when you want to take risk, because Uranus is here to change something about your second house. If you have in the natal position, then also you must have experienced that in the transit in the 7 years also. Barring this 1 year, Jupiter will be there. You will know what to do and how. I feel a radical change is going to happen in your second house of money and family. Now, these changes can be sometimes tumultuous also. So now, having known that Uranus is there for the next 7 years in your second house, I feel whatever monetary dealings, whatever family dealings, whatever savings you are having, whatever the situations of, whatever the properties of your second house, you need to be a bit careful about, because see, it is quite a high octave of Mercury, but it is quite a little strikingly revolutionary also. So sudden thoughts can come regarding revolutionizing the the monetary factors, or the saving oriented things, or your assets, or even your family. You want to think something out of the box. These things can happen. That is how Uranus acts actually. So the thing is that why the transits are discussed is that we knowingly, we should not be committing a mistake, but it will happen that you will, the feeling of the planet is such, it will make you take some risk. Risks are okay, but when money, the thing concerned is earnings, savings, your family, then risk should be under calculated way. That is why the transits are discussed, because that's why I wanted to do this video about Uranus. What is the impact of it in the next 7 years of its transit? For Taurus ascendant, for Taurus it is in the first house. Lot of changes, all about you. It's you and you in the 7 years of Uranus transit in the first house. I have seen quite a few times when Uranus is in the first house, these people are fiercely independent. They sometimes, take head on with people with their ideas. They don't want to shy away from telling things, and they because they are now in a inventionary mode or in a higher octave mode of Mercury, they are quite eccentric about the things that they are feeling inside them. They want to break free. Freedom is very important for them. They feel that they are quite now lofty in their ideas, quite out of the box, and they want to break free from the original norms of the society. Because as you know, now you have Jupiter still on your Lagna for next 1 year. That after that, I'm speaking specially, when it will happen slowly, this 5 years, you can quite become a rebel. I mean, not in the way that going out to the world, but yes, inside you will feel that some things needs to be broken to make a new you. That is important. That is the eccentricity of this planet. If you are engaged in some kind of scientific studies, occult studies, some kind of all these things which are Uranian type, which is invention, scientific, research oriented, deep depths, and it requires quite a lot of intellectual understanding, then those will be favored. But as a Lagna, Taurus, when Taurus, you are the Lagna, you are getting the changes. And another thing is that when Uranus is there on the Lagna or in transit, these people become fiercely very independent and freedom oriented, so that the relationships with other people can take a back seat and quite be merged to a certain extent. It can be, and it happens, it usually happens. So what is going to happen, it will happen, but it is a scope to change and become a new you. I feel that, because when such a revolutionized planet is coming on the Lagna, you can well make a new you out of yourself, which is very rare to get that energy from the cosmos. So Uranus is providing you that. Why not make a new you? And it is so much the flavor of Taurus. I know so many people who are Taurus, and I feel they need a change now. The change is just right around the corner, and Jupiter is already there. Now it will surely come out of combustion very fast, and so you are raring to go. It is a Midas touch of Jupiter and also the craziness of Uranus. Let's see what happens and how you tackle it in the coming next 7 years. Gemini. Gemini, in the 12th house, Uranus is making a transit in your Taurus sign. Here 12th house Uranus can be a little feeling out of place, sudden spiritual insights, sudden things that will come into realization which till now you have not even thought about. You can see it is because it is the subconscious, the 12th house. It makes such a huge impact on the subconscious mind that the subconsciousness, actually you can practice meditation or a new way. These things will attract you, because 7 years is a long time, and it is a very revolutionary planet. It will bring about the changes regarding the 12 houses. You will sometimes people around you can come and you can get, you know, the closure. You can suddenly, truths can come in, you know, the face, the original face of people can be revealed in different ways. Because see, whenever some conscious rising thing has to happen, when a planet is transiting into the 12th house, now Jupiter is there with Uranus, but Jupiter will come on the Lagna, some kind of seclusion that planet demands, because 12th house is the house of seclusion. Some kind of understanding of the unknown, meditative practices, surgeries can also happen. Some inventions in the silent, silentness of life can come forth. Inventions can be about yourself, about something else, about something which you're researching, that can happen. Because Gemini is very inquisitive sign, so they can try and think about all these things. Some people will go into occult kind of things. Uranus is the subject of astrology. I mean, it favors astrology, it favors scientific inventions. It is all these things are favored in the 12th house. But suppose in a lab which is secluded, suppose in a place where not much people are, you have access to less people you have, because it's a 7 years time, quite a long time. So some fake people will be disclosed. You will have sometimes the fear of the unknown, and also the fear of sudden disclosures happening in front of your eyes, which you may not have thought. Now, if Uranus is transiting over certain planets sitting in your Taurus house, then those planets, the characteristics of Karaka Tattva of those planets can come into, you know, your consciousness. You can understand them. That's why it is so up down planet. See, whenever Uranus transits into a house, slowly it makes you go into the depth of that house. And 12th house is all about understanding the unknown and the unseen. Somewhere in your daily routine, because all the other planets are doing their job, and this is a 7 years long transit, but as you see, how to check this process is that you see for the last 7 years, when Uranus was in your Aries house, 11th house, what has changed? Did your networking change? Did your friends change? Did you started networking in a different way? Your ingress of income have changed. Certain things have changed in your 11th house. You will understand that. Similarly, some up downs will be there in the house Uranus is transiting. So now it is your 12th house. Certain, you can feel sometimes of, too agitated, some built up of, frustration. Sleep can be less, because it's a up down planet. It's a revolutionary approach it will have to your 12th house. Newness, a very fierce touch of newness in this 7 years to the already existing 12th house in your horoscope it will bring. That is for sure. After Gemini, Cancer. Cancer, it is your 11th house of gains and networking. Here you will see that you are changing your networking cycles slowly and surely. You are putting your, you are getting associated with people who are willing to take some risks, and also they share the risk with you, because Uranus is a risk taker. And some certain friendships of the or networks of the previous years can come down. If you see for the last 7 years, when Uranus was in Aries in your 10th house, definitely in this 7 year span it must have brought a lot of changes in your 10th house also. The way of working, maybe new projects, the handling of projects, all these similar kind of changes you will feel in the 11th house now. Some old stories will shut down. Some old associates will be of no use. You will come in contact with different people who have more dynamism and dynamic approach towards, money. Your networking things will increase, but in that kind of a way, slow but steady way. I mean slow because it's a 7 years transit. Like one day suddenly, it's not a 1 year like Jupiter is already there. It is not that kind of a thing. But some jerk will be coming in some existing relationships, because it is supposed to now dissolve. you need a better, rebellious, out of the box thinking kind of networking people. That is the need of Uranus to make it work in your 11th house. So it is not a bad transit, because maybe the people you had been working with or associated with had, I mean, the time is over, it's worn out for them. Now you need new people, new associates, new money generation techniques, new groups, new activities. So I think it's good for the 11th house. So let's see, it's a 7 years long. That's why I always say, whenever you have to check Uranus, you have to look into the previous house. Till now it was transiting in your 10th house. See, whatever changes it brought in your last 7 years, there will be ups and downs also. Uranus is not a very, smooth running planet. It is quite an eccentric planet also. So these things will happen. Let's see what happens in the ride with Uranus. Leo. It comes into your 10th house, a massive change in your work area. There will be development of different skills. You will become very fiercely independent in your attitude, slowly but steadily. As of now, Jupiter is there guiding you. You will want the need to think out of the box, to put different the revolutionary ideas you'll get about your 10th house into perspective. You will shun certain people who are of no use for you in your work area, and you will start with working with your original ways. Maybe not, it will be. There will be some ups and downs in this process, because no process is smooth. It cannot be smooth, because some mistakes, some things will happen which will take us a little back. Again, we'll go, step forward with that. This thing has happened. This is part of the nature of this how planets work. Usually big eccentric planet like Uranus, it works in that way. But this kind of planet is wanted in the 10th house, so that we always don't continue with whatever was happening and continuing with the same process. We make a change. That is very important. And to make the change, the impetus for that will come from this planet, which is, I think, a very welcome change in the 10th house, because sometimes it happens the same way we are doing the same thing. The Jupiter being there, Jupiter is also a very conservative planet. It will give you all the ideas and all, but to get out of the box ideas, to think something different out of the way, so that your work stands out, that kind of a eccentric planet is required. Yeah, so it will make you work towards it. It will make that Uranian way of working in your habit will come by the years, because it's a long transit of 7 years. But I feel that this transit is very important. The 7 long years, it will change the pattern of your work, and that is a welcome change in the 10th house. So utilize the most. Slowly it will show. For Virgo, it is happening in the 9th house. 9th house Uranus brings profound change in your philosophical and spiritual, abstract spiritual thinking, because it will make you question things and you will be glued to finding answer to it. If you have a planet over there, or you're running the Chardasha of Taurus or something like that, then definitely. But a planet, when it transits a 7 years time in a sign, you will be accumulating some knowledge, because Taurus is the accumulation, and some not, lots about the 9th house. Travel will be there, or pursuing higher knowledge, higher spirituality, higher knowing, and inclining for a Uranian kind of knowledge in inventions, research, out of the box, some spiritual teacher who will teach you, not the usual way, a little different maybe, but that is what is needed maybe. So this will happen. The theme is the 9th house, means it is about higher learning, higher thinking, spirituality, travel for learning, spending for learning, understanding the dharma, understanding what is, whichever religion you are, you will become radicalized quite a lot to that kind of a thing. which is sometimes required, you know, knowing our religion, knowing the, because I'm not speaking because I feel, but as I mean, because I am very proud to be the religion that I follow, but this kind of a situation gives birth to many queries, and these queries will be answered through your quest, and that research Uranus will give an impetus to that research. So in that way, it's a knowledge gaining transit, out of the box knowledge, that knowledge which you had not been thinking for so long, because 8th house Uranus that you had been experiencing for the past 7 years is very different. That is quite another eccentric. Here it will make you realization of the higher thoughts. Now overall chart should matter, because I get to meet with such kind of people who has a very high spiritual liking or a presence of the spiritual pursuits in their life. Maybe my energy is like that. They follow either Shivite, or they are Krishna, or they are Ram, or whatever. Maybe my spirituality brings them that kind of energy I encounter in my dealing with people. So that if you are that kind of a person, you will learn lot of higher things, and you will come across these things, you will cherish it, and there will be a lot of change. You will be very happy with the kind of higher perspective that you gain from this 7 years transit of Uranus. For Libra, the transit of Uranus is happening in the 8th house. 8th house is about lot of unknown activities, about research, about your property matters, about your inheritance. These things will take some kind of a up-down approach, because see, 8th house is also quite an unknown house, and when a revolutionary planet like Uranus transits into this house, it brings some uncertainties. It can happen, certain attraction for maybe somebody in your life which is very uncanny. It can bring in research oriented some inventions that can happen in your level, whatever you are doing. It can bring in some some events which was not expected, and those events can emotionally derail you for a certain moment of time, because Uranus is such a planet that it is here to make some tumultuous situations out of its transit. These things can be felt. Sudden good things can happen also. Sudden travels, sudden travel related research, some understanding after traveling to a place, some realizations can come in. Some people can naturally go away from your life organically. Maybe you don't need them, you have outgrown their or they have outgrown the need to be with you. That will happen. People can literally pass away. That can happen also. It usually happens suddenly. That is a problem with 8th house and Uranus. Everything is very sudden and not exactly calculated. That is how Uranus works. And if the horoscope permits, some kind of extra affairs can also surge up, which can be very emotionally draining also. And it can bring in bad name or bad feeling or some kind of eccentricity in yourself. So the planet, how it behaves in the 8th house, every planet is quite a deal, because 8th house is very suddenness. So even in your inheritances, even in your the investments, because Taurus is also an investment sign, and these things can also sudden investment gains can happen. Again, sudden downfall can also happen, because this I've seen that Uranus, when later I see the horoscopes and I match it with the transit of Uranus in Aries, when it happens, especially in the last 7 years, because before making this video I was going through these horoscopes which has experienced certain things, they had like when Uranus was traveling in the 8th house of Aries, the people sometimes suddenly went into certain investments, and some gave literally good returns which was not expected. Some certainly fell on the face. These things can happen with Uranus. It is quite an eccentric planet. It's quite out of the box. And if you are somewhere you are linked with occult astrology, then research, then definitely that is favored by this transit. It is the planet of inventions, it is the planet of astrology, tantra, all the occult things. It really favors. But 8th house Uranus in the 7 years definitely will make you learn certain things through some kind of breaking away situations from your life. That will happen for sure. That is also there with Uranus in the 8th house. Most of the planets does that, because it is in the 7 years term. You have to always go back to the previous sign when Uranus was traveling in your 7th house. What kind of up down did you face? For Libra ascendants I am talking. Did you face some up downs in your 7th house suddenly? Because Rahu was also there, you can blame it on Rahu, but it is not that. You have to take the 7 years time of Uranus, because now Uranus will go into Taurus from 3rd June. So 7 years henceforth, what have you gone through the experience of the 7th house? Was it not some up and down, some changes, some radical changes? That is the characteristics of Uranus. Similarly with the contents of the 8th house. So some radical changes regarding the 8th house matters. Now whether it's your inheritance, whether it's your putting into investments, whether it's your some extramarital affairs, whether sudden striking an affair with somebody, breaking it up, and sudden people going away from your life, and these things will bring a profound change. That will happen in a time of 7 years, not immediately. Because if a planet is there immediately in the first 2 degrees of Taurus, it may happen, but usually some incidents that will shake you up will happen in this 7 years long term of Uranus transiting your 8th. Now for the Scorpio, it is Uranus is transiting in your 7th house. It is about breaking free, and when 7th house is about partnership. Now will all partnership dissolve? Please don't come into a conclusion like that, because see, partnership dissolving has become a very such a touchy subject, and everything nowadays culminates to some kind of a breakup, and it is not always like that. See, it makes a profound change also. Recently I saw a couple, a person has to they have to stay separate with each other, and Uranus striking the cusp of it is not yet in Taurus, but actually it has happened. So now what they are doing is that they will be living apart. They are married, but quite a radicalized different life. So that very much happens also when Uranus comes into the 7th house. The 7th house matters can go a little bizarre, up and down, certain experiences that was not expected. Yeah, if see, if you are in a position to get married, then maybe you get a partner who is very, very freedom oriented partner. That can happen. Uranian type of partner, bit eccentric, bit innovative, bit researchful, some occult kind of things may be linked with him. These things can happen. Yes, if your relationship is quite in a bad tumultuous position, though Jupiter is now in the 7th house and putting its grace, but once Jupiter goes away from the 7th, some kind of slow, but Uranus will not give slow things. It will give sudden jerk and break away. Those things can happen in 7 years, but that is not the conclusion. It changes the way of thinking of the 7th house. This is the first thing about Uranus. It will change your idea. If you had been thinking, because that is the radicalization of Uranus. If you had been thinking that only if I get to see my partner every day, that is a partnership, then Uranus will change your mind. It will show you different kinds and nuances of partnership, that it happens in many ways. If you are strong in yourself that this is the partnership, I'm here to stay stable, nobody can break it away. Though the circumstances, the 3D things can change. So your partnerships can go for a change, your business things can go for a change. All these things Uranus will put an effect in the next 7 years. So that is how Uranus in Taurus in the 7th house for Scorpio will happen. You have to go back and check for the last 7 years how it changed your official front or working area. Actually their daily routines, how it has changed, how it has gone up and down. COVID was also there, Rahu was also there. So many things happened in the 7 years, but Uranus also had a profound influence on your 6th house for the last 7 years. Now with the same kind of characteristics, it is coming into your 7th house. So yeah, things can become a little sensitive. It needs to be handled for Scorpions because that is how the transit will be. But it's not always about breaking away of everything. It's not like that. For Sagittarius, it is the 6th house. 6th house Uranus will actually stimulate your mind, because it is the intelligence, and it will make you think a lot. The 6th house is about daily work. It is not the 5th house. So for Sagittarius, it is the 6th house, your daily work routine that you had been continuing for so long. Jupiter, your Lagna Lord, is there, can see a change. It will go for a change. Slowly but surely, you may feel disinterested with the kind of, it will happen. I've seen for Scorpios, because in Uranus was in Aries for the last 7 years. Now it is for you all. You will slowly become very disinterested with the environment and the kind of people you're working with. And you will want a freedom from it. You will need a change for it. Your some kind of nervous nerve related or some kind of exhaustion can happen, because it is the 6-12 axis. You can feel that you have to break free and you need something, because Ketu is also there in the 10th house. So new ideas will generate, but this time though 6th house, you can put things into actions, but it will happen that you are not able to go much well with the people that you already had been working with. Especially if you are working in a particular place for a very long time, you will want to fidget in the next 7 years and get out of it and bring some newness in your work life experience. That will happen. The 6th house, the daily routine, it will go for a change. You can take up some healing process. Some bizarre health related issues can happen which you didn't expect, but it may come out and put you into some kind of a healing process, some kind of an exercise that you may not want to do, but due to the up down of your health, due to the even if you take loans, that can also be a problem. It can suddenly flare up on your face. These things in the 6th house, it gives these kind of problems. Certain enemies can bother you. Maybe they are crazy in their approach. These kind of situations Uranus can break. But because it is an Artha house and it is a Dusthana, you'll be able to fight with it. Yeah, it will take some time. Suddenness of things will happen regarding these Rogue and Shatru, but you have to take it and make it happen. That is how Uranus will change your 6th house, because remember, whenever Uranus is coming into a house, it is there to bring some radical changes, definitely in the 7 years time. Slow, but definitely some big changes is there that is going to happen in this 7 years. That is least understood. It will happen for 100% sure. For Capricorn, it is the 5th house. Now 5th house is our mind, the intellect. You can become very fertile in your intellect. This kind of planets, when they travel the 5th house, or usually when people have Uranus, they always want, their mind is very restless actually. and they always try to find out or figure out things which are different, out of box things, some innovative ideas, some inventions, some occult related things, some mantra chanting, some healing things, some, you know, all these bizarre things that you want to do that will happen regarding the 5th house. Your love matters also can be very eccentric. You feel sudden attraction to somebody, and you know, that kind of suddenness is there in Uranus. Even your child, if the progeny related things, the child can behave quite a little bit weird, because Uranus is a weird planet. So these things can well happen with the 5th house. Your investment choices, you may want to, you know, go for very bizarre kind of very weird kind of investments. I mean, originally, if Uranus would not have been there, you wouldn't have gone for that. You would have followed a rational way of thinking. Here suddenly some ideas, because it's the mind, some intellect will tell you that if you do it in this way, you get better returns, you get better result, you can, you know, accentuate your progress, because obviously the 5th house is also Purva Punya and name, fame, that is how you want to put it forward, a gear forward. So it is your creativity. It's a very creative time for the Capricorn people, very creative. But the child can create problems also, because whenever I've seen the natal chart of Uranus is in the 5th house, the child is sometimes very I mean, out of the box, not exactly the kind of normal seed that we expect. Due to societal norms, they are very different, they're intellectually very different, they need freedom, they want to think something which is different from what the other people are doing. These things can happen with the progeny. The progeny can become, you can feel that the progeny has changed or is changing, and very different than he or she was before. Even your love matters can be sudden hookup follow-up, because it is like electricity, suddenness. Uranus has a very weird sense of madness and suddenness to this planet, and a radical revolutionary way of thinking towards whichever house it is transiting. How to check it is that in the last 4 years you check, because it is your 4th house that Uranus had been transiting. Must 100% you will find there is up down in that 4th house matters. There will be some unrest over there, which has spanned over 7 years. It didn't happen in a day, but in these 7 years it was suddenly up, suddenly better, again up, some problem, again some matters with the mother, with the 4th house things, with property, with people of your own people, own house. You will feel that change. Now it is coming to your 5th house from 3rd June. Same in the 7 years, you will feel some weird things happening with your 5th house things, which is not in a straight line or up and totally down. It is sudden spike up, down, some kind, that is the eccentricity of this planet. These things are bound to happen. Aquarius, your the transit of Uranus is in your 4th house. 4th house is a very nice place. It's a very, I mean, it's a peace that we want in the 4th house, and Jupiter in the 4th house will try to make that feeling happen for you. But because Uranus is also now coming for the next 7 years in your 4th house, some changes regarding your 4th house will happen. The house itself can go for a different kind of changes. The people that are in your house or your property can go for some kind of change. You may sell property suddenly. You may get better money, or sudden losses with the selling can also happen. The situation may be like that. You have to sell off a property, not exactly garnering profit from it. Mother can become a little bit of erratic or a little weird in approach, or even sudden ups and downs in the health can happen. It's not a very good time for that, but yeah, it's 7 years time. It doesn't happen in I mean, but Uranus gives sudden results actually. If you are because it is a house of education also, the peace is not exactly what Uranus denotes at all. It is a very otherworldly, out of the box, revolutionary, radical, eccentric planet. So these kind of things will be the theme for the next 7 years regarding your 4th house. You can suddenly feel the urge of not staying in the native land and going to a different country and settling over there. You can suddenly feel that your house is, you don't want to stay in that particular place, and that same house, it needs a renovation or sell off or a new property. And these are sudden weird thoughts that come, and sometimes it fructifies also, because now you are thinking about that matter in a Uranian way, which is quite out of the box, not the normal, that everyday thought. How you check the results of Uranus is that when you go back to the last 7 years of transit, see how in the 3rd house it has affected your 3rd house, how it has. 3rd house, what are the things? Your communications, your travels, maybe sudden travels you had, maybe sudden you couldn't travel, you had to cancel it. Maybe you had to change your neighbors, maybe your relationship with these neighbors have changed in the last 7 years. Maybe all the 3rd house matters, some initiation of certain things have started. You have started something new in your life, whether, I mean, it can be a small thing as gardening also, or maybe some other rules or implementation about you, about yourself, some decisions you have taken, you have been bold enough. So it is, or even all 3rd house matters have gone through Uranian change. Similarly, your 4th house matters will have that kind of a change in the next 7 years. That is the transit of Uranus that is happening now in your 4th house. For the Pisces, it is the 3rd house. Yes, now 3rd house is that Jupiter is also there as of now for the 1 year, but this is the transit of Uranus is for the next 7 years. Now 7 years will see a lot of changes in your 3rd house matters. Just now, as I was talking about Aquarius, last they had the 3rd house things happening because Uranus was in Aries. So you had Uranus in your 2nd house. Did you feel suddenly your income has raised, or suddenly it has taken a notch down? So similar things can happen for the 3rd house matters. Suddenly you can change a place. You may feel that certain things is better in the other place, again certain things you don't feel right with. You have to think out of the box also regarding the 3rd house matters. The sibling can be acting a little different than you have if you have a younger sibling. That kind of some kind of initiative you will be taking, some kind of decisions in the 7 years will be taken. That is very much instrumental, that decisions were pending and now you have to take this out of the box decisions for the things to keep rolling regarding the 3rd house matters. You may travel due to certain things. There may be sudden travels. Sudden not travel can also happen. It was destined to travel, you couldn't travel due to something. All these things are part of Uranus. So these things, Uranus is that kind of a planet which gives you a sudden jerk to the area, and because it transits for the 7 years, it sudden brings goodness to the area. Sudden out of the box thinking or radical thinking can give way to new things. Suddenly it can give you some fall also. So that fluctuation with Uranus is very much seen actually all the time. So whenever it travels or transits, a house, it leaves a very deep impact. I mean, that impact, when you look behind for the last 7 years, like your 2nd house, if you look behind, you will see you have taken a lot of decisions with money. Certain risks also you may have taken in the last 7 years. Some may have paid off, some may have not paid off, but still you are okay with the risks that you had taken. So that is how the transit of Uranus is. It will propel you to do and think out of the box things, and so that you deliver a different result than every time, because we do it in the same way. Uranus will make the results turn a little different from every time we see from those houses. So this was my explanation of Uranus transit in 12 houses. For the next session, I'll come up with another topic. Let's see what's there in store. Till then, take care. Have a good day.